Hello and welcome back to Sage Summit. I'm Sholto McPherson for Digital First, and I've been trying to track down this big story here, which is what the hell is going on with Sage Live. Now, Sage Live is this new product from Sage, and the crazy thing about it is that it's built on top of Salesforce's technology platform, Salesforce One. It's the same platform that Salesforce CRM is built on, and it's normally used by startups who want to get a product to market really quickly, and so they can just build whatever interface they want to build on top of this platform and push it out there. But this is clearly a major product for Sage, so what's the deal with Salesforce? My initial reaction was, it's a dumb idea, because Sage is a technology company. It should be building its own software platforms. And also, on the money side, it didn't seem to make sense. At the moment, Sage gets 100% revenue from all its own software. With desktop software, that's pretty much 100% profit. Now, when you move to the cloud, it's much less profitable. It takes a longer time to get to profitability. You have to sell many more copies. And as well, it will have to pay royalties to Salesforce for every single customer that it has on there. So why would you want to do that? And the other massive concession that Sage has made is that it can't build its own CRM to go with Sage Live. It can only use Salesforce. It's part of the deal. And Sage sells CRM. It sells desktop CRM. This is part of its product lines. So it's going to miss out on that revenue entirely in the future. Why would it do that? And I've spoken to lots of executives here, a couple of partners, trying to get their insight on what's happening, and I've got it. It's actually quite interesting. So here are the pros. From a technical perspective, Stephen Kelly talked about this in the keynote. Take it as you will. He says that Salesforce One is a third-generation cloud platform. It's more advanced than any of the other platforms out there, the native platforms used by the online accounting software companies, and it can do lots of different things. I mean, we can't really see that right now because the product has only just been launched and there hasn't been any opportunity to add features that the others don't have. But it does take a big chunk of responsibility for software development away from Sage. And that's for things such as running the software on multiple devices and in multiple languages. And these things are important, particularly for Sage, which is very popular in many non-English speaking countries throughout Europe. And the devicing is also important because of the number of devices that are coming out. I mean, her one stats, Samsung is bringing out a new mobile phone every 42 days. And that pace is only going to increase with wearables, Apple Watch, Internet of Things, and all the rest of it. So it is a benefit. A bigger benefit is the pace of development. So building on top of someone else's technology platform is, they say it's 6 to 10 times faster than building on Ruby on Rails, which is the programming language for Sage One and also for many of the other online accounting programs. That is a huge advantage in terms of being able to get features out quickly in a particular market or different countries and so on. So the best example of that is that Sage Live, they began work on it in November, and they launched it on the 28th of July, just 2 days ago, which is an incredibly short time. Admittedly, the product is not complete. It's missing bank feeds, bank reconciliation, and so on is not complete, but there's a lot of it out there. It's in the market, and they're selling it today for quite a lot of money. The other technical advantage is it's built on because it's built on the same platform as Salesforce CRM. The integration is native. It's much deeper than you would get through a normal API connection to an ecosystem. So, for example, the contacts in Sage Live are the same contacts that you have in Salesforce CRM. So that is a really big advantage in terms of being able to swap information around and interface and so on, user experience. For me, the most important thing is strategy, and this is really fascinating. So, Sage is relatively unknown in the US. It's a household name in the UK. Everyone knows it. In the US, very few people do. This deal with Salesforce gives them instant credibility, instant brand recognition, and an instant customer base into its heartland. And this is a big thing because Stephen Kelly, Sage CEO, said on stage, heavily invested in Team America, excuse me, and there are 24 million businesses, small businesses in the US, and he wants to get a good chunk of those. Sage Live is a vehicle that is going to do that, and this deal with Salesforce is part of that vehicle. So it's a big strategic play. The same thing goes for Salesforce. So just as Salesforce opens up the US to Sage, so Sage opens up Europe to Salesforce. And Sage has a huge customer base, 6 million customers. It's number one or in the top three in Spain, in Germany, in Italy, UK, and big in South America. I think Brazil is very popular too. So these are areas in which Salesforce hasn't had that great amount of access compared to the US, and this deal now puts it right in the middle there. And one of the other Sage executives said that this is something that that CEO Mark Benioff, the Salesforce CEO, has been very interested in, is combining the front office, which is a CRM side of things, with the back office, the accounting. And with this deal, he has picked up the credibility and the development skills of the largest accounting software company in the world, and that's pretty clever. So, because now with this integrated product, he can start to push into deals that he's been locked out of, that have normally go to ERPs such as NetSuite or Acumatica and that kind of thing. Now he can say, well, we do have the accounting side. Obviously, this is probably too early for him to do any of those kinds of deals. Sage Live is embryonic, as one Sage executive put it, but we've got the roadmap here. These two brands together is quite a powerful combination. The question in my mind I had was, well, how committed is Salesforce? It has lots of programs on its Salesforce One platform. It already has an accounting program called Financial Force, which admittedly is aiming a bit further up the market than Sage Live. But if Sage Live crashes and burns, there's no skin lost. And the answer I've heard is that it is actually quite committed. Part of this deal is a big IP swap. So Salesforce has opened up its sales methodologies to Sage, and a team from Sage went over to Dublin, to where Salesforce has its offices, and went through that sales process, which you would expect for selling cloud software to SMEs would be one of the best in the world. So that's a really interesting thing there that they've committed to. Another important element is that this deal is personal. The Sage CEO and the Salesforce CEO worked at Oracle together, and there's a shared history there. There's a trust there. These people go back. I think that is going to be important in what happens. I heard one guy make a joke about maybe this is a Microsoft, Nokia, ELOP style kind of takeover. I'm not sure who's taking over who here, but who knows how that one's going to work out. It was an interesting comment. I did ask, had a one-on-one session with Stephen Kelly about the revenue stuff, and I said, what's the deal with that? And he said, well, actually, the royalty structure they've worked out is very favourable to Sage, particularly as it scales. And the other side of it is that Stephen Kelly clearly sees this as a vehicle for capturing new customers. So he doesn't see it as sacrificing existing revenue. This gives him an opportunity to get some revenue from customers that he wouldn't otherwise be able to reach. So perhaps the exposure there is not as great as I at least first thought. So in summary, the goal of Sage Live is clearly to increase the pace. Sage wants to break into new markets. It wants to take it into it in the home territory. It wants to do that on a platform that allows them to develop faster features, move faster into new markets, and to get new market share. And you can feel that hunger. I mean, I was talking to the CTO, Klaus Michael Vogelberg, and he's been leading this Sage Live project personally, and has been running 2-week intensives to get this product ready for Sage Summit, working 18-hour days with a group of hand-picked developers for 6 days a week, for over 2 weeks. I mean, it's a good story. Anyway, the question is, will it work? Look, who knows? Clearly, the product has to get a lot further along before Salesforce customers are going to be using it. The profile of the average Salesforce customer is probably a little bit higher than where Sage Live would normally fit. But on the other hand, it gives Sage a product in the North American market that has a pre-built API, it has a pre-existing customer base, and apparently a faster platform for development than its rivals. And that counts for something. Ultimately, it may not matter too much because Sage is a juggernaut. I mean, this company has 14,000 employees. It makes £1.3 billion a year. 190 million pounds of that is profit. If Sage Live flops, most of this revenue is coming from desktop customers anyway. So, this is an interesting experiment, part of this multi-platform strategy, and we just have to wait and see. But bold moves from Sage. All right, that's Sholto McPherson from Sage Summit in New Orleans, signing out. Thanks for watching.